for Advanced Algebra 1. This is our review worksheet. And first problem, this is a review worksheet for topic 5. The graph shows the cost of renting skates. Sadie rents a pair of skates at 10 a.m. How much will she pay if she returns the skates by 4 p.m.? So we just come over here to the 4 and we go up until we hit a graph, then we hit the solid part, and so we look over this way, and at 4 p.m. she would pay $10. At 4:15, slightly over 4, she would jump to the next level and pay $12. That's how we read that step function graph. Find the vertex of the graph of f of x. So the vertex would be -2, 0, because there's nothing out there with it. And the -0.25 is negative out front, obviously, so this opens down. The next one, the vertex would be, since there's nothing in with the x, the vertex would be 0, -3. The coefficient of x is positive, so this absolute value function would open up. Next one, the vertex would be the opposite of what's with the x, so 3, 2, the same as what's out here. So it would have a vertex of 3, 2, and it's negative out front of the x, the coefficient, so this one also would open down. Okay. Next one, I want to write the equation for the graph, and I want to write it as an absolute value, okay, not a piecewise function. So the vertex of this absolute value is at -2, 0, and so f of x equals a, and then it'll be times the absolute value of x plus 2, and then there'll be nothing out here to go with the rest of it. To figure out what a is, I could use this point, which is at -1, 2, and plug it in. 2 equals a times the absolute value of -1 plus 2. So 2 equals a, right? Because -1 plus 2 is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1. So our coefficient out front of here is +2. So our answer is f of x equals 2 times the absolute value of x plus 2. The y value of the vertex is 0, so I don't write anything out there. Okay. For this next one, I'm supposed to find the rate of change on the interval from 3 to 6. So let's see. 1, 2, 3 is right here. So that's at the point 3, 3. And 6 is over here, and that's at the point 6, 0. So the rate of change is the slope. So the slope at that, between those 2 points, basically the slope of this part of the segment, is 0 minus 3 over 6 minus 3, or -3 over 3, which is -1. So the rate of change over that interval is -1. Okay. Then number 7 down here, write a function in the form f of x equals a times the absolute value of x. The vertex is 0, 0, and it passes through the point 1, 4. Well, if the vertex is 0, 0, then this is my equation without knowing what A is yet. The x coordinate of the vertex is 0, so I add or subtract 0 in there, and the y coordinate of the vertex is 0, so there's a plus 0 out here. So basically, what I have right now is f of x equals a times the absolute value of x. And then what I do is I plug in the point they gave me to find a. So 4 equals a times the absolute value of 1. So a is 4. So this formula, f of x equals 4 times the absolute value of x. Okay. So in the last section, one of the things we talked about was looking at this absolute value problem, finding the vertex, finding the equation of the axis of symmetry and the domain and the range, as well as graphing the function. So for this one, the vertex, I take the opposite of what's with the x. The vertex would be -1. And the same as what's out there, that's the y coordinate, -3. Axis of symmetry, x equals -1. Domain, all real numbers. There's no restrictions on x. There's not anything that I can't plug in for x. And then I'm supposed to graph this. Let's see, -1, 1, 2, 3. And it opens down. If I plug in 0, I get, we can make a table if you like. But if I plug in 0, I get 0 plus 1 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1 times -2 is -2 minus 3 is -5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can use my axis of symmetry because so I know that there's another point right here. Or I could plug in -2 and I'll get -5. And really, since this thing is opening down, that's enough points. I'm just going to draw in my and so now I look at it, and this is why I didn't answer the range before. Now I look at it, and the range is going to be y is less than or equal to whatever this is, and this is -3. So y is less than or equal to -3. The y values are -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, and so on. Okay, and everything in between there. So that's how we express the range. This next one, we look at it, and the vertex is 4, -2. Axis of symmetry, x equals 4. The domain, all real numbers. There's no restrictions on x. And then I like to look at the graph before I state the range. Okay, so I plot my vertex at 1, 2, 3, 4, -2. And then axis of symmetry would be x equals 4. Goes down through that vertex. And then I would plug in points. I'm going to plug in the point 3. It's right next to it here. Okay, and if I plug in 3, I get 2 times the absolute value of 3 minus 4 minus 2. 3 minus 4 is -1. Absolute value of that is 1. And 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. If I plug in 3, I get 0. And then axis of symmetry tells me there's another one right there. And then I could plug in 2, and that would give me 2 times the absolute value of 2 minus 4. Absolute value of 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4 is -2. The absolute value of that would be 2 times 2 would be 4 minus 2 is 2. So 2 2. Then again, I can use my axis of symmetry to get this point. And then, oops, I missed that one a little bit. We do that. And there's that absolute value equation. And then, of course, I had to include a piecewise function problem. Why is that? There we go. The sun's out bright today, so that's giving me some weird lighting in here. The camera doesn't quite know what to do with it. So a lot of you like to just make this little table for each rule. And my swing point is 1, so I am going to plug in 1 here. I get 1 minus 1, and I get 0. And then I want to plug in numbers that are greater than 1 for this one. So if I plug in 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. I plug in 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. So 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2. So that's that part of the graph, right? I also want to plug in 1 here, and if I do, I get -1 plus 3, I get 2, and I want to plug in numbers that are less than 1. So I want to plug in less than 1, 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. I want to plug in -1, and I get the opposite of -1 plus 3, which is 4. And so I go and I plot 1, 2. It's going to be an open circle there because that's strictly less than now. Okay, it's not sharing this point. We have a discontinuity, a jump discontinuity. So this is where the 1 has its value. It does not have its value here, and it can't have the value in both places. So, and then I plot my other points, 0, 3, and some of you on the quiz over this lesson put an open circle all the way across, and that's incorrect. The only open circle is on the swing point. If it doesn't end up in the same place, the open circle on the swing point is open. And then -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this piecewise function looks like that. On the quiz over this section, some of you also wanted to extend these graphs, and they're not extended that way. You know, this graph is only x greater than or equal to 1. So it's from 1, here's 1, it's from 1 on. It's not, when I plug in 0, I jump up to the other rule, and I use this value. If I were to draw this in here, then it's saying that we have 2 values at 0, and we do not. We have 1 value at 0. It's the one that would be fitting for this line. Okay. Then last problem, write the piecewise defined function for the graph. So here's our swing point down here at 4, -2. So that means that f of x equals, in parentheses, and it's going to be for x greater than or equal to 4, and for x less than 4. That's my swing point. So for x greater than or equal to 4, that's this line, okay? So the slope of that line is 3 minus -2 over 6 minus 4, or 5/2. And then the y-intercept, y equals 5/2 x plus b. I'm going to plug in 3 equals 5/2 times 6 plus b. So this are going to cancel, and I'm going to get 3 equals 15 plus b. And I'll subtract 15 from both sides. I'm running out of room. I didn't plan that very well. I subtract 15 from both sides, and I get that b is negative 12. So the equation for this line, okay, is, and that's the greater than or equal to 4 line, 5 halves x minus 12, okay? That over and down a little bit, okay? Now, for the line that is x less than 4, that's this line over here, okay? The slope is negative 2 minus 2 over 4 minus negative 1, and I get negative 4/5 the slope. So I have y equals negative 4/5 x plus b, and now I plug in one of those points. I'll plug in 4, negative 2. Negative 2 equals negative 4/5 times 4. So negative 2 is negative 16/5. So I'm running out of room. I did not plan my space accordingly. So I want to add 16/5 to both sides. And negative 2 is negative 10/5. So negative 10/5 plus 16/5 is 6/5. And you can do that on your calculator, of course, also. So the other line, you can tell I made these up because they're not pretty. The other line is negative 4/5 x plus 6/5. And so there's my answer. That's the equation for this piecewise function. I think that's all we have on the test. So ask questions, get help if you need to, and we'll be taking that test shortly.